Welcome to The Route to Success, where we explore how leaders build resilient organizations, navigate real challenges, and create meaningful impact. Today's conversation focuses on something every leader faces, but few are trained to handle well: communication. Not theory, not surface level advice, real tools you can use immediately. Our guest, DeeDee Fisher, is a communications consultant who developed the CPL Framework, Compassion, Process, and Learning, after a major life pivot in 2019. She built this work from lived experience, from raising a child on her own to leading in high pressure environments, and from recognizing a clear gap. People are speaking, but they're not truly communicating. In this episode, you will learn how to slow down conversations, ask better questions, and lead with clarity instead of assumption. DeeDee, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. I'm always so excited to be in conversation about communication.
I am excited to talk about this today. I have had the opportunity to observe a lot of miscommunications lately, so I am looking forward to learning a lot. I know I learned a lot just in the brief conversation we had earlier. All right, you created the CPL framework from a major life pivot. Walk us through that moment and what forced you to rethink how communication works.
So I got divorced in 2019, started, and I jumped back into consulting, and immediately, having taken a few years off, my clients were like, well, yeah, I know I hired you for leadership training, but I really want to talk to you about how you communicate. And it's been a minute since I was in corporate America. And I'm like, okay, tell me more about that. What are you seeing or feeling or hearing? Because I'm not like, I didn't know, right? And so they said, well, the way you break things down and the way you tell me to do things is just very unique and different, something I've never heard before. The ideas that you hit me with is something that literally makes me stop and think about how am I leading? And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So after those conversations, I actually stepped back and I said, let's look and see if there's a thread somewhere in my life where other people have said this in the past about how I communicate. And so what I did is I went back to the late 90s when I had sold a nutritional supplement to general nutrition centers. And after it was in the stores and on the shelves, I was pitching it to Oprah just to have her, not just, but to have her promote it, to have me on the show. And I spoke to Gayle King then, because she was still with Oprah on the show. And she said, look, we're never going to promote an ingestible, but your writing is what matters. So in the bottle was a writing profile that I had done, like a program. It was really centered on the things you say to yourself, the things you say to other people. Are your thoughts in alignment with your actions? Because we didn't have Ozempic then, basically, and you can't just take a pill and lose weight, right? We didn't have that back in the 90s. So it was like, no, people need to think about it first, right? And so that's really the first thread. Then the second thread is there was a professor at UVA at the Darden School of Business, and I met him, and he learned about the project with GNC, and he's like, I want to put you in my book. And I go, tell me about that. And he's like, well, I also grew up in Idaho. I know what it took for you to leave Idaho. I know what it took to create something in a discipline you were not educated in, right? My degree's in ad PR, in comms. And he said, so I'm very interested. I'm writing a book on entrepreneurs. So I'd like to put you in that. And all of his question was about my languaging, like what I said to myself. He said, at what moment did you think that you shouldn't do this? And I'm like, I never had that thought. He's like, most people would have had that thought. And I'm like, yes, but I was so excited to let people know what I was learning that I was just like, oh, I have to share it. So it was just an overwhelming thought I have to share. I just didn't think I can't. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I have to share. If you take these herbs and they make you feel better as a woman, every woman needs to know this. So I went back through that thread and I really listened to this person, right? And now these clients were saying this. So I decided if I was going to do something called help people communicate better, because what I heard from clients were people say that, but there's no way to do it. What does that mean to communicate better? How do we do it? It's like the how piece was missing. Mm-hmm. So I decided that it needed to be a formula. and I'm very linear. So like when you create a nutritional supplement, the manufacturing of that is all linear, right? It goes from the raw goods to the capsule, to the type of bottle, to the label, to the insert, to how many in the box and who's shipping it and who's taking it. It was very detailed, right?
Right.
So I thought, well, if I did the thing with communication, then maybe that would work. So I went and got Scrum certified because I knew that that was a linear process. And one of my clients had said, have you ever gotten Scrum certified? Because you tell me to meet with my team, then you tell me to meet with them again in a week, not like, here's a project and go tell them to go do it and meet with them in a month. And where the failure is from the first time we talk to the 30 days later. It's a really long time for a lot of mistakes to happen. He said, Scrum certification, Scrum sprints when you're developing an app in tech do that. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. So I went and got Scrum certified. So that was, and they do that. Like it's every week you come back and talk about what's happening so that there's not all this lost time between intended outcome and output.
Right.
So, okay, so I wanted a formula. So I came up with CPL. So I came up with compassion. So compassion for yourself and others in the communication, commitment to the process, and acceptance that everything is a learning. Every dialogue is learning. You can't go into it thinking you already know, because then there's no dialogue. You're not gathering any information. And then in each one of those processes, I started adding tools. Like, how do you be compassionate? How do you stick to a process? How do you commit to learning?
Right. I love it because it's so practical. And I'm all about practical and things that you can learn. I love this. And I love that you incorporate compassion. And since our first conversation, I have mentally said to myself, have compassion with yourself. Because for me, it's really easy to have compassion with other people, to assume the best and to think those things. But for myself, it's not. So just short communication, and you've already changed me.
Wow, that's
right.
So interesting that where it showed up for you was with yourself.
Yeah, well, I have ADHD, and as you know, if you're familiar with that research, it's really complicated, especially for women, because I was a late diagnosis. And then because I was late diagnosed, we hear even more negative things. So there's a whole thing that goes into it. So I will just say your process for those of us who struggle with social interactions and social graces, because our minds work different, your process is perfect. Let me just plug that as well. It works in multiple arenas. All right. So you say we are in a communication crisis. 110% agree with you. People state opinions, but don't engage in dialogue. What are you seeing, and how is this specifically impacting leaders and teams today?
Yeah. So what's happened since the invention of social media is we've moved into this point of view thing. You get on a feed and you state your point of view and you go away, or you state your point of view against somebody else's POV, basically, but we never dialogue about it. Right? I mean, how many times there a long thread, and those of us who look on social media, occasionally you'll have a long thread where people go back and forth, but in general, it's one belief system against another belief system, an opinion about whatever the post is. And so then you start seeing that out in the world. Right. And especially there's these statistics now about kids coming out of high school and college, not being able to speak, not being able to interview, not being able to state what they need, not being able to pick up the phone and have a phone call because everything's this.
Yes.
It is like,
yes.
I'm talking to friends. No, you have people like that receive letters from you, basically.
Exactly. Yes, you're so right.
Yeah. So backing up and getting people to, be compassionate with themselves and the other person, especially if you're, my sweet spot is in a high conflict situation, which is why the book, when it will be released, will be called Beyond the Reaction, right? So if you can be compassionate and we can move past our initial reaction, like you're doing that. You're having a thought about yourself and you're saying, no, I'm going to be compassionate with myself. So you're moving past whatever that initial reaction is for you.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this has been years and years and years of work. And so what you said just clicked. It's perfect. So let's break down CPL. when we're in real time and we're having difficult conversations, what does compassion look like, especially with yourself? Because I think, this is my opinion, I think as a leader, we prepare for those difficult conversations, and we're very aware of needing compassion for the other person, the person we're talking to. But I think often we lack that for ourselves, and maybe that's where we can find the conflict and breakdown of boundaries. But let's hear from the expert, because that's just my thought.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. So I think the first thing is that we have to accept that human beings, right off the cuff, we always make stuff up about ourselves and other people, and it is always negative.
Correct.
It's always negative, which is also not true, right? There's no way, like, if, I don't know, let's just say an employee comes into the office late, drops their stuff on the desk, grabs their laptop, rushes to a meeting, and they're all discombobulated. And you say to yourself that they're always late, they're so irresponsible, all negative, right? Instead of their child was sick this morning and they had to drop them off somewhere different, right? You could make up anything. So right there is the first step, is to stop our minds like you did, and say something positive. Anything positive. Oh, that person's never late. It's a total one-off. I'm sure something happened that made that happen. How can I make their day better? Hey, we can start the meeting 15 minutes late if you need to get situated, right? Like, what can I do to show compassion to another human being? Forget the hierarchy, forget like that you're the boss and they're on your team, but just like, how can I be compassionate?
Right.
And right there, you then start running a process, right? You've stepped into action by saying something different than you would usually say. And then by asking questions, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Can I be of assistance? Would 15 minutes help you? So it's so easy. We think it's complicated. It's so easy to run the whole process just that quick. And only one person has to be doing it. The other person's it's like a dance, right? Like if somebody's leading and you're following, and somebody's waltzing, you're going to do the box and you're going to follow. Or if they're dancing hip hop, you're going to try to follow, right? So I always use the analogy, if you're making a vanilla cake and you take out the vanilla and you put in the chocolate, it's now not a vanilla cake, regardless of what the recipe said, right? So just one person, one piece. Like,
so simple.
Whatever you've done, very simple. This is not like complicated. It's just accepting the facts about humanity. And a long time ago, people would call it new age magic and this and that. It's not like that. It's just accepting that we do this as humans. The little old lady the car cuts you off in traffic and you scream and yell and throw a bird out the window. Then you get up next to the car and you realize that it's a little old lady who can barely see over the steering wheel and she probably just didn't see you, and you feel terrible.
Right.
But
right.
How about we just do that before we get all excited, like beyond the reaction? Okay, great. I didn't like that. I'm not going to respond how I usually would. They didn't see me. They're doing just what I'm doing. They just want to go forward.
Right.
I love that example.
I always think, what? Maybe there's an emergency. Let me get out of their way.
Yeah. Or they're in a bigger hurry than I am. That's fine. I'm not, right? Just let go. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing when you do that, what that does for yourself as well as that other person.
It changes everything.
It does. It
changes the energy just like that. And it's very hard to think of examples or to read clients on my LinkedIn that don't address that when they worked with me, some of the first things they noticed what they were saying to themselves.
It's so true. I think our inner dialogue is our biggest demon.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do we shift that? And I'm saying we just be compassionate. Let's just keep it simple. It doesn't matter. Like we always we as humans want to figure everything out. And I'm saying stop. Let's go back 25 years, figure out where it came from, because wherever yours came from is different than where mine came from. But the fact of the matter is, let's just start here today that it exists. And to be in action with other humans, let's change to compassion. And it's totally fine to go find out where it came from. But even finding out is not going to change it right here today. It's only going to give you more information. So I'm saying, let's just address here and now. Let's get present.
I think what you just said is clear. Let's be present. Put the phone down. Stop looking at the computer. Let's just have a good meeting. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And even on Zoom, you can have a good meeting, right?
Like you had
with remote work, but you've got to be present.
And that's why I make it a point. I put my computer and my phone on Do Not Disturb. And my main focus is on you. I take a note-taking app so that I can focus on the conversation and what I'm hearing, not on taking notes. And that helps me be present, read your body language, and actually participate. It's amazing. Okay, so you emphasize that communication is a process. What are the steps leaders can follow to move from reaction to clarity?
I think every leader needs to figure out which one of the following fits their personality the best. And what I'm about to list is a tool, and you'll all notice it immediately, that like, why does Barbara Walters have the magic to get people to talk about what they talk about? Or any news, reporter, get people to answer. Who, what, when, where, why, how, right? And so every leader needs to figure out what's the word for them when the employee's late, when the project's not going right. What is like soulfully correct for them? For me, it's why. Very interested in like why somebody thought something different than I did. Like, why did you think about it? Like, that's so incredible. I never even thought of that option. Or it could be, for somebody else, it could be like, how did you come up with that? I didn't even think about that when I gave the project out, that would be a path to follow. So how did you come up with that, right? But these are questions that get you in a process immediately. Like, you're now in it, right? The very first question gets you in it. And then the commitment to stay in it and learn is where all the meat is. Right?
For sure.
Because you could ask the question as a leader, you could share, and you could be like, oh, okay, but that's not how I wanted it, right?
Right. So what I hear is have a set of really good open-ended questions that will keep you focused on the issue at hand while also moving forward to collect the information.
Yeah.
And be open to learning, because if you walk into a room assuming I know everything, I have all the solutions, everything shuts down. But if you walk in with just general curiosity, like, hey, I thought we had a really good plan. Let's see what broke down and let's work through it and fix it. That general curiosity and learning is what keeps it moving forward.
And I obviously, I'm very direct. So some clients I will say, if you don't want to know what your people think, then why are they working for you?
Exactly. Why did you hire them?
Yeah, why are they on your team? Like, if you're just going to do it yourself, like, just be solo.
Exactly.
But you
save yourself the money.
You obviously wanted them here. So what is it? Right. And then when I give them, go ahead, you first.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's such a valuable point, is knowing why you hire somebody and utilizing that person. So I apologize.
Yeah. No, totally. Well, one of the things is like, they'll say, well, what will they think of me if I'm asking a question? I'm supposed to be the leader, right? Well, it's kind of an old school way of leading, right?
Oh, yep,
and I say, look, I'm a big fan of another tool called Tell One on Yourself. So fine, if it feels more authentic to just actually say, I didn't think about it that way. I didn't think about that option. Nobody thinks of everything, right? We're all completely different. I didn't think about doing it that way. I didn't think attacking the problem that way. I didn't see it from that point of view. This is incredible. Let's see what we can do together. Right? And that's why technology happens so fast, because they do that. They create a project, they run a sprint, they come back in a week, they come back in 4 days, like whatever their sprint is. It might happen on Monday, Friday. And then on Monday, they start again. And then Friday again. but it's fast and furious. It's like they're constantly moving and pivoting to what's come up in that, whatever the sprint length is.
It's brilliant. That is brilliant.
So
Okay.
it's so great. Yeah. And so if we're doing that with communication, we could do the same thing. We can move faster forward, more creatively, more direct, like, and make sure everybody's going in the same direction.
So I'm terribly sorry to do this to you and throw you at a curveball, but you've got me thinking. So one of the things I'm hearing from clients is meeting fatigue, meeting just to meet. And I have to be honest with you, I am the world's worst at wanting to attend meetings. But what you're talking about in the scrub method with the meet, create, and I'm saying this in my language, meet, address a problem, create a to-do list, assign next steps, go do them, check back in. I feel like this eliminates meetings. It eliminates that meeting fatigue and allows you to have more time to focus because you bring the group together, you eliminate that silo thinking, and you're just meeting twice a week or once a week, whatever that is, to start a new sprint and just address things one thing at a time.
Right, exactly. And the meeting can be shorter because you're directive. You're not trying to figure out what you should be trying. You know, people go to meetings and go, what are we talking about? What's this for?
Right.
It's about that last about what happened with your action protocol. Did it work? Did it not work? Where are we at? Like a sales team. Can you imagine like using this in a sales team is amazing. Here's your 15 calls. How did it go? Where are they at? Right. Are we removing from them the list? Are they moving forward? Like what's next? You dropped off 5, great, get 5 new ones, right? Like, and so it's just more efficient.
Yes. And it's energizing. That's the vibe I'm getting. It is very energizing because it's very positive, because it's focused on solutions, not what are we here to talk about or what's the problem.
Right, right. Well, and I mean, I love the tech industry, right? And people would laugh that they had games, but think about it, like you're at your computer and you're working, you're sitting there working, and you get fatigue. Great, go get up and go shoot a game of pool or play a game of air hockey or sit in the beanbag or get coffee or, you know, shake a cocktail that's not really a cocktail, right? Whatever they're doing in their environment that they've put into action, throw darts. There's movement and you're talking too. Like you're talking about what's happening.
Right.
This is what I'm working on. I feel.
Yes, I love that. You know, my team and I, we have walking meetings. If we can walk outside, get some fresh air and some sunlight while we talk about a problem, talk about a challenge, in 15 minutes, we've got solutions. And then of course, it's always the race back to the computer to type them out. We haven't perfected that part of it yet, but it's relaxing, it's energizing, it's moving. I get it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I even, you know, tell one on myself. I was having a hard time writing my book to the transition between creativity of output and the functionality of punctuation and grammar. And so I had a professor tell me, I can teach punctuation and grammar. I cannot teach voice. Right. So I went, oh, you know what? So I should use my voice. I should use the technology we had. So okay, this is a chapter I'm writing. Great. So I literally talk like I'm doing a lecture, and I just speak it into like notes on my Apple phone. Then I cut and paste it into Word. Then I use the editing tool. Then I check for my voice. Did it change my voice? Did it stay the same? What do I need to do to keep it consistent? But like when you're doing your walk, like maybe it is like you speak notes, like each of you having ideas. Oh, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. And you could do it in an email and then you hit send and it's at your laptop when you get back to it, right? Like you email yourself. Right. So there's really great ways we can use technology and tools to run, you know, I guess if you want to term it for our conversation, my communication sprint.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Yes.
And I also think it gets people thinking about like, this is what happened for me. And it was really obscure. How am I going to get the team to understand that happened for me? Because it was really obscure, right? Like I'm just using that. And then you're thinking about how you're communicating.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I've had so many times that I've sent an email that to me makes sense. And I've had somebody email back and say, I don't understand what you're saying. And it's really made me take a step back on my communication and think, you know what, you're right. I started halfway into a thought. Thank you for pointing that out. Here's what I meant to say. Yeah. So one of the most powerful points you made is that people don't know how to listen anymore. How do you train yourself to truly listen instead of preparing your response?
So the same tool, when you're wanting to ask questions, you know, the who, what, when, where, why, how, you can actually use that as a note taking, almost like a prep moment, right?
Okay.
I'm going into this. Oh, there is a what I need to know. There is a how I need to know. There is a where I need to know. Like, what is it? Because those details matter. And so if you're listening for those details, then you'll be listening. Right?
Right.
So it's active listening, like solving a puzzle, right? If you're looking for the puzzle piece, oh, I'm looking for the piece with the white, blue, and green on it. You know what you're looking for. You're not just standing at the puzzle table going like this. So if you get into a communication and you know what you're looking for, but you've prepped beforehand.
Right. Okay. Yes. So in addition to those 5 questions, who, what, when, where, why, what are some simple tools that people can use to stay grounded in conversations? And can you kind of walk us through, like you said, have pre-notes? But let's say you have your pre-notes, you've done everything that you've said, something happens, it's conflict. What are some other tools to get you grounded and moving forward?
Sure. So those 5 things work, but the magic in them is when you start with an I statement and you take you out of your vocabulary, right? Like,
Right.
I heard, I misunderstood, I need more explanation, I'm having a hard time putting it on top of how I'm thinking. So these are all I statements. You know, can you help me understand more? Right? You really have to think about it. Even I do. Like, could you repeat it? No. Could you help me understand more? Right? And even on a team, could you help me is different than can you explain it differently? It's so small, right? Such a small shift, but it gets the other person in, oh, they want my help. They're not saying, right, they're not defensive right off the bat. Like, I didn't speak it right. They didn't understand me. I did something wrong. Oh, they need my help.
Right.
So that I statement is really important. Yeah. So really important. Yes. And then, so we talked about the questions, we talked about the I statement, and then the telling one on yourself is also great. Like, just have humility and no ego to say, I don't understand.
Exactly.
I really want to understand. I'm totally lost. Like, please help me. I'm completely lost. Right.
Right. And you know what I always say to people when I'm working with them and they say, but I'm afraid to ask a question. I always say, you know what, if you're feeling lost in a meeting or if you have a question or need something explained, 9 other people in that room do too. So be the brave one and ask for everybody, not just yourself.
Yeah. The only wrong question is the one you don't ask.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you let your brain stop there, because a lot of people do that, right? So I had a client who was like, I can't, like, he started really young, like on the manufacturing floor, and then he came up through the business and he got into the C-suite. And he was like, Dee Dee, I can't speak to the guys in the C-suite the way I speak to the guys on the floor. And I'm like, yes, but the thing is, you can, but you have to give the guys on the C-suite backstory. The guys on the floor have the backstory and they know you have it. So if you're talking about a piece of machinery that went down and you have to fix it, and what's the off time and what product's not going to be made, they already understand that. So you're faster in communication. When you're over here, you have to step back to the process piece and you have to give it to them. And he's like, well, they're going to think and then he had like a whole list of what they were going to think. And I'm like, but you're thinking that about yourself. You don't know what they're thinking. So how about you give yourself permission to be the liaison between these two worlds that you are, and like step into that power.
Exactly.
And why he's going through all that list in his head, I actually said, who on your team would you let talk to you like that? And, you know, he's this big guy, right? And he's like, nobody. I go, but you talk to yourself like that. Like these terrible things that we say to ourselves as human beings. I love that question. Like if you catch yourself like, who would I let, what is happening? What, like, I wouldn't let anybody else talk to me this way. Why am I letting this person talk to me this way?
Right. Exactly. It's so hard, but when you make that pause, that intentional pause to ask that question, then you can get that clarity.
Yeah.
So for leaders who feel overwhelmed or reactive, which I think right now is everybody, what is one simple reset practice they can use to regain clarity before responding or making a decision?
I think if you go into a situation as a leader and understand that your intent is always for everyone to feel great at work and realize like you want your people to feel great. There's nobody who gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to go lead my team and I want them to feel terrible.
Right.
Nobody gets up and thinks that. No, I'm going to get up and do my worst today. Like we don't think those thoughts. But when a little hiccup happens, those are the kind of thoughts that come in. So I always say, if my leaders just stay focused on giving your team the best world they can have. Right. And I know, like I know if I react, then that's not the best world. So they have to set up something that feels authentic to them as a functionary, like a motto, like who am I as a leader? And then make sure they're aligned with that.
Right.
And then leaders are under a lot of pressure. So if they do get reactionary beyond the reaction, right? If they do go on beyond the semicolon and it's not what they wanted to say, the less time between a reaction and a cleanup, the more powerful. And that time will get shorter and shorter the more you can do that. Right. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean to get upset. Let me back up. And maybe it takes maybe the first time it takes you an hour and a half and you have to email the team. But the next time, because you're not going to like that process, you're definitely not going to like it. So then the next time it's 45 minutes and the next time it's 30 and the next time it's 15 and the next time it's 5. And then pretty soon it's in the moment. No, that's not what I meant. Let me back up. My commitment is to hear you and make your day great, make our team functional. So let me back up and see if I can rephrase that.
Right.
I love how this, it affects parenting so much. Like the difference with parenting when parents do this, it's astonishing.
Right. No, I totally see that. And I always, when I'm faced with something that could have me react, I always stop and ask myself, is this something I need to deal with right now? And if I can ask myself that question internally, that gives me that pause. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. And so I can say, you know what? I'll get back to you by tomorrow at close of business with an answer. And so that way I give myself time to process, to feel whatever emotion I need to feel, work through that emotion, understand why I felt that emotion, and then get to a solution. And I know that sounds super long, but it works. It really works when you give yourself that question to ask, the pause, and your team starts to learn. And it's giving yourself those cues.
Well, and that's learning about ourselves, right? Like I'm no good. Like don't talk after 9:30 at night. Like I get up early, I work out early, I go all day. I'm done. Like at 9:30, my daughter told me about, buying a new prom dress or her boyfriend, but don't talk to me about what college and when you're going and like those kind of details. So my thing is like, those conversations after 9:30 at night. Let's put it on the calendar for dinner time tomorrow. Let's do it then. Exactly.
I've in envious you make it to 9:30. Mine is 8. After 8 o'clock at night.
You're done. Yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. It's I just want to read my book. Right. But I also will answer an email at 5 a.m. the next morning. But I'm sure you do the same thing. It's just like that after 8 p.m. No, I've got to check out. Dee Dee, what? Go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, that shows up. It actually happened to me from a team I'm on. I'm doing a fractional CCO job, and the team emailed at what was 8 o'clock p.m. my time on LinkedIn. right? Like I check my LinkedIn with my coffee in the morning. I post in the morning, right? So I quickly said, sorry, I missed this. This is how you, I mean, like right then, right? I handled it right then.
Right.
This is how you get a hold of me. And I realized if one team member didn't know that, other team members wouldn't. So I
Right.
quickly hit the email chain. Hey, I'm 3 hours time difference than most of you. This is when you can get me. This is what that looks like. Here's the mechanisms to do that.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
my time, like when my positive reaction, you know, between an action and a reaction has gotten smaller, right? To handle it. And then I'm not thinking about it all day. What do I need to say? How do I need to set that up? Sorry, I missed that, you know, meeting or phone call or text or whatever, right?
I think it's important to say with communication, it's really important to have boundaries. And you and I just very clearly stated some of our self-care boundaries, right? After a certain point, we aren't reachable. And I think that's okay to say.
Right.
And I think that makes you a better leader.
I don't have my phone here because I don't keep it in the room, but you know, that little thing that rings that we carry around, that computer, it's a computer that rings.
Right.
So now we're on our computers 24/7. That doesn't mean, like, maybe you do want to be able to receive phone calls from, you know, your loved ones, but that doesn't mean your work accessible 24/7. And we have to be able to take that boundary because of what you're saying. Like your brain's done at 8, right? Mine's done at 9:30, right? But call me at 5:30 in the morning. I'm probably doing 10 miles on the bike and I'm happy to talk while I'm doing it, right? So we all are different.
Right. And maybe because, you know, so much of this is organizational culture, maybe it's creating that culture to say, the first email we expect you to send out is how do we communicate with you and what are your times and what are your boundaries?
Yeah, especially when you hire somebody. Who are you as a person and how does it work? I mean, and this is what the younger generation's doing. They're telling us that by saying, I'm not going to work these kind of hours. I'm going to work in something that I'm good at, not just going to work because I want to feel good when I'm there. And that's just not the message that we grew up with, right? Like that's not the message, you know, our hard drives were blank when we got here, and that's not the message we got. But it's definitely the message that our kids are getting. Find something you love, you'll be more productive and happy. You won't be shifting careers at 25 or 30, right? Like you won't be wanting to do that. Take the time to figure it out.
Exactly. Oh gosh, I wish we had that. Mine was get focused, get a job. That's what you're going to do for the next 30 years. And it's not.
No, and having raising a child now, this child cannot know what she can do at 18.
No.
She doesn't even know what the options are yet.
Right. I know. When my daughter was a senior in high school, I remember making her promise me that she would not declare a major until her second year of college. And she's like, but all my friends, and I'm like, I don't care what your friends are doing. I want you to get out there. I want you to try everything. If it sounds fun, take it. We'll figure it out. And then now she's 22. She took some time off before she went back to school when a break. And so when she did enroll in college, I was like, don't declare a major. Don't declare a major. Let's try a little bit of everything out. And it's made such a positive impact, right? Because she's following a path that she loves and she's passionate about, whereas all of her friends are either dropped out or in jobs that they hate.
Yes. There's actually colleges out there that won't let you declare until after sophomore year.
Oh, thank God. I'm so glad they put that boundary in place.
Yeah. No, big, huge shout out to Holy Cross, you know, in Worcester, Mass. They're like, no, you can declare a major until after sophomore year. Because they know they're going to give them education. They're going to introduce them to things they have not or may have not seen. And if they've seen them, they're going to go more into depth. Right. And they're going to change their mind. Or they're going to find something they didn't know existed on the planet. Right.
I love all these changes I'm seeing. So, Dee Dee, what is one last positive communication tip that you can leave us with? And what is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Because I'm assuming, which is a bad thing, but having somebody like you in the room for facilitation of board meetings, strategy sessions, helping with clear communication and educating is got to be a really powerful tool.
I hope all my clients feel that way. I actually do love what I do. So you can find me on LinkedIn, and it's very simple. DeeDee Fisher, DeeDee, and then Fisher with no C. Instagram and TikTok, and my email address is also, and my website is actually on my name. So DeeDee Fisher. And then the one tool that I would give it, and can it be one we already talked about? Like, can it be one of my favorites?
It's your favorite. It's however you want to answer. It's however you want to answer it.
Well, because why is my question, like, why is the one that's for me? Because I'm such an inquisitive individual. Like, it's like, why? Like, I have to know why. Your brain works differently than mine. Give it to me. But I do think that beyond that one, for other people, I think the I statement as a leader is the most powerful.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's just like, I own it. I don't understand. I want to understand more. I want to understand how you thought of something that I didn't think of. This is so intriguing to me, right? Like, all of that, it's so creative and positive. Mm-hmm. So the one tool that I will say today is the I statement for leaders.
I love it. DeeDee, thank you for your passion, your energy, the amazing information that you shared. And I will say, right before that, well, maybe an hour and a half before, let me be very honest, I connected with DeeDee on LinkedIn. Super easy to find her, super easy to find all of her information. So I can verify all of that, and we'll put everything in the show notes as well. DeeDee, thank you so much. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I am going to be saving you in my contacts if you don't mind, because communication, I work with nonprofits, and sometimes we just need help with communication.
Of course, Sarah. Anything I can do for you at all, just let me know 100% of the time.
I will. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.